All right, we are here. Get Ahead with Nick podcast number 5. I'm really excited about this one. I just had quite the experience and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. But most importantly, thank yourself for being here, because it's so rare these days that we do something that's just purely for our own good and our enjoyment too, but something that's just going to make you have a bit of a better life. You know, it's not always as fun and glamorous as it may sound, but when you do all these good things for yourself and you are stacking up wins and confidence, all of the pieces just start to fall into place. So thanks again for being here. Speaking of which, I just did something like that for myself. I did something for my own good. I tried for the first time a sensory deprivation tank for 60 minutes. And this was quite the experience. It had everything from like mild hallucinations to just complete relaxation and darkness. It was crazy. So I'm excited to tell you guys about that. But before we get into that, I want to stay focused on talking about doing some things for your own good, strictly for you, because most of us do not have the mindset that what you pay for and spend your money on is where your life is going to end up. So if you pay $20 per month for Netflix, but you can't afford a $20 gym membership, where are you going to end up in life? Yeah, maybe you'll have watched a lot of good movies, but you're not going to have the body that you've always dreamed of and the health that you will desire later in life. And what about the money that you spend on alcohol at the bar? You know, you probably spend, obviously this varies for everyone, but a lot of people easily spend $250 a month on alcohol, when $250 per month is a lot. That could easily get you a mentor in whatever field it is that you desire to be successful at. If you want to be a really good basketball player, or even a professional basketball player, $250 a month, you could easily find someone who loves basketball and they would mentor you for that. That's a lot of money for them. But instead, you know, if you waste it on things like alcohol, that's not going to do you any good. That's going to lead to health and mental problems down the line, not to mention how much money was just wasted. And the last one that I want to remind you guys about is eating out too often at restaurants and takeout and stuff like that. You could be saving up hundreds of dollars if you get a good, healthy plan for when you're going to eat and what you're going to eat. You could be saving that money and put it towards owning a vacation home in like the islands or wherever you like to go. So make sure that you are taking your self-development budget seriously. And since I started taking my self-development budget so seriously, is how I get to have experiences like I just did, like I'm going to tell you about. And that's how I'm sitting here right now giving you guys this advice, because a few years ago I decided I wanted to start budgeting for myself, for my own self-development. It might start with just a book, just putting aside money for a good book about becoming a better version of yourself. And then it's going to snowball from there. So please keep this in mind. And now let's get right into what my sensory deprivation tank experience was like. These are also called float spas. But depending on how seriously you take it, like you can be in complete darkness with earplugs in, and you're floating in this. It's just like a combination of water, like really salty water, and you're just floating there weightlessly. And it's really cool because there is no time in your life that you're alive and conscious like this that you will ever experience zero gravity unless you try one of these tanks or you go to outer space. Chances are, not saying it can't be done. If you want to be an astronaut, you can do it. You can manifest these things. You can work towards it. But most of us, That's not on the to-do list. So your only chance really to experience zero gravity is in one of these tanks. And let me tell you, that was a crazy experience. So you walk in and you're greeted by somebody who works there. We had this nice lady. She was very pregnant. And she took us to this little lounge, and we sat there and we watched like a safety briefing video that told you some things to expect and what it might be like. And then it got pretty real pretty quickly. It started talking about how a lot of people experience like hallucinations, and they might fall asleep, but don't worry, you're not going to drown because you're only in 10 inches of water, although you could drown. And a lot of people experience pain when you get in, because let's say you have chronic pain. Let's say you have knee issues, right? When you first get into this sensory deprivation tank and you are deprived of all your senses, you cannot hear, you cannot see, you're not tasting anything, and it almost makes the pain more pronounced at first because you're thinking about it so much. The other one I missed was smell. Sorry, I was trying to think of the other sense. You're not smelling anything either. So you're deprived of all of your senses except for feel, pretty much. And even still, you can't feel anything. But if you have any type of pain or whatever, it can become more pronounced because you're just sitting there stuck with your thoughts. And now you're thinking about this pain that you're in. Whether it's mild or not, it's probably the only thing you're going to be thinking about at first. That does pass. This video was telling us about that. It was like if you have chronic pain, the first few minutes might be a little rough, but as you relax and let the effects of the zero gravity affect you, the pain will start to go away. And after a few sessions, a lot of people get cured of whatever random chronic pain that they have. So anyway, we watched the video, and then she moves us into this nice lounge. And we were in a nice lounge, but then we moved to another nice lounge, and she asked if we wanted to do any oxygen therapy. And I was like, what is that? I wanted a full experience, so I was like, totally, I'm down, but what is that? I don't know what that is. So we sat in these nice chairs, and literally like you're in a hospital on an oxygen tank. They give you like the tube that splits, and it comes over your ears and like into your nose. And she hooked us up to this machine, and she was like, okay, so you get to pick an essential oil to get like infused with. Your oxygen is infused. I picked lemongrass. I don't know what that does, but it was really pleasant and just lemony, oxygenated air that I was breathing in. I didn't feel like high or anything. It just makes you, I don't know, it preps you, gets you ready. It gets you in the mind state that I guess you need to be in. So then after that, we go on a little tour of the room. She shows you like how to open this gigantic clamshell looking tank, and tells us about it. You're in your own room with the tank, and you've got a shower with soaps and beautiful towels, and it's just very relaxing. So obviously, like, we're done with the tour. I shower off, and there's like petroleum jelly and stuff like that in there. She was like, yeah, if you have any open cuts or wounds or anything, like, make sure you put it on there, because it'll protect you from, like, let's say you have a cut on your finger. You get in there, there's 10,000 pounds of salt in each tank. That's how much salt is dissolved in the water. That's what makes it so dense and allows you to float in this 10 inches of water, because it's so dense and you are less dense, so you'd float on the top of the water. I had just gotten a haircut, so I get in. I didn't think about this, but I get in and I like lay myself back. I didn't close the door yet, and the back of my neck pretty much feels like it caught fire because I had gotten a haircut. I guess like there was some irritation or whatever. It was so painful. So I got out, showered off again, put this weird jelly stuff on it, and then I get back in, and then close the lid. And then it got pretty real pretty quickly. I sat back and I was like, okay, this is nice. The water, by the way, the water is heated to 98.6 degrees. So you're not too hot, you're not too cold. It is the temperature of your body already. So I sit back and I'm like, wow, this is really something. And there's music playing. The music shuts off automatically after like 3 or 4 minutes. Same with, well, you can turn off the light. I immediately go for it. I turn off the light and the music. And now I am like, oh God, this is kind of intense, because you cannot see anything. Like the difference when your eyes are closed and you see all black versus when you open them and it's still pitch black, can't see anything. Little bit scary. You just feel like robbed of all your senses, which is the point of this. So then you need to get into a deep, relaxed state. So I started with that. I started trying to just float, find a comfortable position. I tried like they had all sorts of funny names for the positions in the video. There was like the mummy, like the winged dancer, and like, I guess this one was the mummy, but whatever, like all sorts of things you could try. And I find one that's comfortable. I've got my arms out like this. I've got a nice tight chest, so it was nice. I was relaxing. I'm just kicked back, floating, zero gravity. And I start just breathing deeply, trying to really get into like a meditative, spiritual state. And then I almost feel like I'm starting to see things almost like you see little like blurry things, kind of like when you're looking into a light for too long and you see like colors a little bit. And it felt like I was seeing things like that. And I kept switching between like eyes closed, eyes open, but it's no different. They might as well be closed. So I feel like I'm starting to see things just a little bit after a few minutes of like deep breathing and just full relaxation. And here's where I start thinking that I'm hallucinating, or maybe I'm dreaming. I don't even know, because you can't distinguish whether you're awake, asleep, or anything. You have no senses, so you don't really know what's going on. I'm just trying to relax and let it happen. And I keep seeing what looks like these little wine bottle corks, and I don't know why, but they had the Michael Jordan, like Michael Jordan Duncan, like this. That was on them. And it was really weird. I was like, okay, not sure what this means, not sure why I think I'm seeing or dreaming about these, but whatever. Let's just keep relaxing, keep going with it. And then my mind starts to wander a little bit. I mean, you're in there for 60 minutes, so you think about a lot of things, but I'm just going to go over some of the like main things I thought about that were significant, and that was one of them, weirdly enough. So next I see myself, I'm on a boat, or maybe just behind a boat, in like a beautiful like island area around sunset, not a huge boat. And I love boats so much, and I love being by the water, and I love sunsets. Who doesn't love those things? So this was good. This was relaxing. I felt like I was floating on the water. It was so nice. And then I started feeling like I was being swept away, even though this tank is not that big. Like, there is no room to be swept away. Sometimes you like bounce off the walls a little bit, kind of like that old TV symbol. I forget what it was, but like where it bounces around the screen a little bit and you're hoping it hits the corner. It felt like that, like the way that you bounce around just a little bit. But it started feeling like I was being swept away, like not bouncing around a little, like I was in like roaring rapids being swept away, like where your stomach drops and everything. It was very strange. So I like kind of snapped out of it. And then I go to relax again. I'm like, all right, no big deal. And I'm being swept away again. And I'm like, I snap out of it. So this time I relax some more. And then I decide, I'm like, you know what? This whole experience is about just kind of relaxing, letting it happen. I was like, I guess if it happens again, I'll just get swept away. Wherever this takes me, I will let it. So I relax again and it starts happening. And I feel like I'm like rushing down a river, like going quickly, swept away. And I almost see myself like looking down on myself, and it looks like I get swept into like a cave of some kind. And I'm just like overwhelmed with the feeling in your stomach, like I'm moving quickly, like when you're taking off in a plane or you make a sharp turn in a car, whatever. And it was very strange, but nothing really came of it after. It eventually passed after I saw what looked like myself just being swept away into this cave where water was just funneling down. And then I jumped again a little bit, and I don't know, and then it passed. So I relaxed some more, and now I'm looking deeper. I'm starting to look inwards, like through my mind, and I'm like, what does all of this mean? Like, is there going to be more? I've still got a long way to go. This was pretty early in it, I would say. You lose sense of time because you can't feel anything. So then I'm looking for more. And I'm like, you know what? This whole thing is just about letting go. And I really struggle with that. Like when I'm at jujitsu and I'm rolling with people, I tense up a lot. Like I get very tense. I start to shake because I'm trying so hard to keep them away from me and this and that. When I'm with my physical therapist and like maybe we're working on like my shoulder or something, I've got some mobility issues. Like I'm always fighting him and I'm anticipating his movements when I need to just relax. So that was what I ended up taking away from the fact that it kept feeling like I was being swept away. So once I was totally okay with that and I was like, let me just be swept away, I felt this sense of calm, and then it just passed. So I feel like that had to mean something, and I had to have just been unlocking some deep like subconscious tension, because why am I always so tight? Like I can't even get a massage without like being super tight and trying to anticipate what they're going to do next. Like I don't know how to just fully relax. Maybe after like a hot yoga session or something, I'm a little better at it, but still I need to work on it. So that was a big takeaway for me. So now I'm looking deep. I'm looking for signs. And then I start thinking about my grandpa. My grandpa passed away a few years ago. And I don't know if you believe in mediums and all of that stuff, but I've got some crazy medium stories. A medium is where you like can talk to someone that's passed, like someone else can interpret what they're saying. And I've got some crazy stories about that. So I believe in it heavily. Like this medium has told us things that nobody would ever know. We didn't know. And my grandpa is like able to communicate through her. Very strange, but whatever. Conversation for another day. So he has mentioned before through a medium that he is like the lifeblood of this business that I've started. And he is like the power behind it. So in my head, I was thinking to myself, I was like, Grandpa, I need a sign. Like I need some more signs from you that say like, I'm on the right track. I'm doing this right. Maybe something I need to do next, whatever. Just looking for some confirmation. That would be nice. And then I sort of realized that, remember, I'm looking inward. I'm like, I'm waiting for the thoughts to come up, and then I'm analyzing them. Like when I got swept away, I relaxed, I let it happen, and then in my mind, I step back a little and I'm like, what does it mean? So then I found myself wanting a sign to confirm that I'm doing the right things or I'm on the right track or whatever it is. And then I was able to just step back and think that I don't need a sign. As long as my intentions are proper and in the right place, which they are, my intention is to help people. That's what I want. I want to help other people feel as empowered as I feel, because I did not always feel this way. I didn't always have this confidence. I didn't always have this knowledge of how the brain works and how you can leverage it for your own success. So I know that my intention is proper because I just want to share this with the world. I'm not after the money that it comes with it. I work a day job. You know, this is not my career, but it's just something that I love and I'm passionate about. So I was able to take away from that that I just need to have the right intentions. I don't need a sign that something's going right, because as long as I'm helping people, then it is going right. And there's nothing else that could make me feel more fulfilled. So that was definitely neat. I did not see that coming. I didn't see any of this coming. I mean, there's no way to fight it. Like, your mind wanders when you're in there. You could try and count your breaths, count sheep, whatever it is that you do, but your mind is going to take you to some places, especially because you could leave the lid open if you're claustrophobic and leave the lights on, whatever. But I didn't want that. I wanted to, like, trip a little bit. I wanted to see and feel things, have a revelation, something. And those are some of the things that I took away. And then after that, I started realizing, I was like, I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a while. So I started just stretching, trying to enjoy the last few minutes of what I had left, not overthinking anymore, not doing this analyzing thing. I had gotten what I wanted. My takeaways were that I need to learn to let go and relax a little bit, and that I need to just keep working, keep my intentions pure, and then after that, everything else is just going to fall into place for me. So I started stretching a little, maybe did a little more thinking, but ultimately this was where it ended. Then the light and the music in the thing came back on, which is your sign that it's been an hour. It's time to, like, wrap it up. Then you get out, shower. They have another lounge. This place is full of lounges, so you can, like, moisturize and do all that stuff. But it was really incredible. I guess you could say I was hallucinating or sleeping or dreaming, lucid dreaming. I don't know. It was too dark to tell. But I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend this experience. Go with a friend. You still get your own rooms and stuff, but do it with somebody else. Go have this experience and look inward and see what you find, because we don't do enough soul searching in our lives. We're so busy and we're on autopilot so much. We're just, like, constantly going, that we don't stop and look inward and see, what is it I actually want to do with my life? How do I want to leave an impact? How am I going to help people? Because if you live your whole life and you don't help anybody, you just worked so that you had enough money to pay the bills, and then you pay the bills and you go back to work so you can pay the bills, and you have the weekend to do whatever. That's not life. That's not what life should be anyway. Unfortunately, it's the reality for a lot of people. Take a minute. Look inwards. Like, feel your heart. Breathe deeply. What does your mind tell you when you start doing those things? How do you want to leave this earth a better place than before you were on it? What is your plan? And this is a really good opportunity to do some of that. So I recommend it, and I recommend putting aside some money, doing some budgeting, create a self-development budget. It might start with $10 per month to buy a new book every month. Or maybe you have more money and you could cut out some drinking and some eating out. Just do some things for yourself so that you don't look back in a few years and say, wow, I really blew it when I was young, and now I can't take it back. Because it's never too late to turn your life around, but you will always wish that you had done it sooner. And that's what I want to leave you with. I guess I should also mention that if you don't follow me already, go follow my socials. It's always Get Ahead with Nick. Subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Leave a like, leave a comment, ask me questions. I'm your biggest resource. I'm here to help you. You can also hit the link in my bio and you can book a strategy session where we talk for 60 minutes and we can do some soul searching for you. I have a really comprehensive list of questions that will get you in this deep thinking state, just like you were in a sensory deprivation tank, but you don't have to spend $100 or $150 on it. It's $25 to have this conversation with me for 60 minutes. You could also try my mental reset program for $200. That comes with 3 free coaching calls. This is a really good way to create better habits for yourself that will help you look inwards and create the life that you dream about. Because my life was not always as good as it is now. And it's just all of the strategies that like top self-development gurus as well as myself use to manifest and to create and to just genuinely start to enjoy waking up in the morning and having a new day in front of you. So that's all I've got. Wrapping this up. This was Get Ahead with Nick podcast number 5, I believe. Make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for more. And thanks for listening.